It's been a while since I've done an actual tutorial walking through the process, so I'm going to do that here. This one has already been cut to size. I just need to add some small branching material to fill it out and then add the green to it. So we'll walk through the steps of that on this tutorial. Thanks for watching. Alright, so let's trip over my equipment here. I'm going to turn on the main light. For this one, I've set things up so that I can have black all around to take my photos. So I've got black material on my desk here and then black background, and if I turn just a light on this in the front, in the foreground, this kind of disappears. So that's why I've got things set up the way they are, and I'm not going to take the time to clean it up for this tutorial. I'm just going to jump in and show you what I do. So I have tried a lot of different glues and options here, and the hot glue just by far is the best solution for me. I like it better than any other option. It's not a terrible sticky mess. It's cheap. I can put the branching material exactly where I want it and where I need it, and have it stick right away. I don't have to wait for it. I don't have to wait for the dry to glue to become tacky. And after it dries, within seconds, I can touch that and not get my fingers stuck in it and anything else stuck to it, which is the case with the hobby tack. That's why I just don't like to use that. Part of that is my lifestyle. This is something I do part-time and when I have time. And so it's not something I get to really think about and say, oh, hey, tomorrow I'm going to make a tree, therefore today I have time to go in and put all the tacky glue on there so that it will set up so that it will be tacky tomorrow. Today's my day off. Yesterday I had Sunday that I decided to just relax, had a headache I was dealing with, so even if I had planned, I wasn't up for doing much, and so it just didn't work out that way. But I knew that, hey, today I'll be feeling better and have the time to go through this. So I've got one tree that I've completed here that's already been sprayed, and I'll probably put a final coat on that. But this customer ordered 2 trees. So we've got the armature, it's been clipped. Now I'm going to add some small branching material. And what I'm using is some dried flower tops from a plant called sedum, sometimes referred to as dragon's blood. It's a ground cover plant that offers these little pieces that work well for bulkier branching material, and so it's plentiful. I've got a lot of it in my yard. My daughter's got a lot where I went today to cut a bunch of this, and so it's an easy natural material for me to get. Being natural, it doesn't cost anything, so that's one of the big pluses for it. For me, if I have a lot of costs in materials, then of course my costs for final trees are going to have to go up to make it make sense. It's already pretty darn close, and I feel like it's not worth it sometimes because I put so much time and energy into making these trees look just perfect. It's sometimes as much as I get paid at my normal job, or even less than that. So it's not necessarily a lucrative thing, but I enjoy doing it. It's a creative outlet. So letting this glue gun heat up. It's almost there. And so once that heats up, then we can start putting these pieces on. And so I can take these and look at it and say, okay, I want a piece there. I want a piece down here maybe. And basically just try and make this tree bulk up and look more like a real tree. There's a big benefit in using the Sagebrush armatures because it already has a natural growth to it. It already has the bark on it. It looks like a dead tree as is, and so adding this other material to it makes it look more real. So next steps are going to be just choosing the placement of some of the branching material to make something that leaves can attach to. Sometimes I will put the glue onto the branching material like this and put it in there. I'll use these little tweezers sometimes to kind of help stick it on, because if I stick my finger in there, it's going to get stuck to the glue. It's sticky when it's hot, right? So there we've got one in the middle of that branch. I think this one might be good to put right there. It is twisting upward. Again, I'm going to put this on the branching material itself. And then carefully set that in there. This material is somewhat brittle, so I've got to be careful with it. It'll get stronger once I have all the greenery on it. And it ships pretty well once I complete the tree and I have all of the spray glue on it. You don't want to be moving it around, tossing it, or playing catch with it, but it ships in a box by itself pretty well and arrives in decent condition, unless they decide to crush the box in shipping, which they do get beat up pretty bad sometimes, but not necessarily completely crushed most of the time. I think people shipping this stuff, people working in the warehouses and shipping centers, I think they try to be somewhat gentle. They're not necessarily crushing boxes, but I'm sure they're throwing them around a lot. So when you put something like this together, there's always that potential that things might get busted up or broken. The worst scenarios I've had is when I try to put something more than a tree in the box. I had one that I did recently where somebody wanted me to do a big backdrop with foam board and trees attached to it, and that didn't work out very well. It got destroyed in shipping because it had trees attached. Instead of the trees just being free floating in the box where they'd be safe as they're getting tossed around a warehouse, this had trees attached to the foam board, and I tried to put support material in there, but it didn't withstand it. So it was kind of disheartening to have that arrive all destroyed, and he had to rebuild it. Fortunately, the customer was very understanding, and we both went into this knowing that it was a new thing that I'd never done before. I gave him a refund of basically 50% and sent him some materials to put it all back together. And I won't do that again. I think if you want to order a large backdrop type situation, we should talk about the structure, how it'll go together, but then I will sell the individual trees and have you put them on. The way that will go, because it's not safe any other way. So I'm working from the innermost parts of the tree outside, so I'm going to work on the center part first, because once I've got stuff on the outside, it's going to be hard to get past all of this stuff, for example, to get my fingers in the glue gun and everything in there. So building the inside of the tree first, and then we'll add material to the rest of it. So that's where we're headed. I'm going to stop talking and put this on time lapse and let you watch it happen. So I've put most of the material in the middle there and thought I'd give you a little bit of a close-up so you can see more of the detail of what's going on. So one of the first important aspects of this is to kind of test a piece. So I've got a piece right here where I've got kind of some empty branching material. I think it would be nice to have a bit of a branch right, or small branching there to kind of cover that up. So in this case, I'm going to put the glue on the tree, on the armature. Put that small branching piece into the glue and kind of slide it down. And it'll dry in a few more seconds, and there we are. So I'm going to continue adding some of this and won't necessarily put it all in video, but just adding a lot of branching material to fill this out, and then we'll go put the greenery on. Okay, so now I have the branching material all on, fairly full. And so I'm going to take it out and do the greenery on it. Finish the tree. The trickiest part by far is spraying the green on it. Well, maybe it's not the trickiest part. It's tricky spraying the glue, which I use. I've found that this is one of the cheapest options that works really well, actually. This is construction marking spray. It's clear spray, marking paint, and that works really well. Matte clear enamel is another good option, but these work better. These clear sprays work better than spray glue, in my opinion. So I use a piece of baling wire to hang it in the tree when I'm done. So it can just sit out here and kind of dry, and the glue or the pieces can glue together with the spray paint. And then I just let that cure for a bit outside so I'm not bringing the fumes in the house. And that's the tricky part, is the wind moves out here, and so I want to spray this so that the wind's carrying it off and not in my face or all over my arms and stuff. So not something that I can do easily inside. Winters are a little tough to make these, but this is how we do it. So the can of marking spray that I have is a little bit low, so I'll probably finish that up. And I remember now why I do this down low, so we'll get down and show you that. It's a lot of hard work to make this stuff, and if you're buying it, then you're spending hard-earned money on it, and so I don't want to waste it. And so as I am dropping it on the tree, I want to catch as much of the stuff that falls off and doesn't adhere as I can, so that I can reuse it. So we're going to give it a little test spray. Make sure that the wind is carrying the spray away from me. And we want to spray the part where we want the green to adhere, and try not to get it to adhere where we don't want it, right? On all the branches and stuff. But you can take a stick or some scraping tool and scrape it off of the branches where you don't want it. It's going to require a lot of this spray. So for a really large tree, you might go through a whole, well, a really large tree. I mean, I've had people ask about, I've done 16 inches. I've had people ask about 20-inch trees, something like that. You're probably going to use 3 or 4 cans of spray to get the amount of green on that you'd want. And see, all that stuff that I'm catching in here, I'll be able to use again. The way I made this, I'm not going to show that in this video, but I just made this out of sawdust, so some of the finer bits get clumped up sometimes, and I have to kind of break those up so that they will stick. But that's about it. Just keep spraying until you've got the amount of leaf material that you want on there, and at the end give it a final spray to hold everything in place. And it actually works pretty darn good, or is it pretty well? Alright, and so we get done, and we have a tree. That looks like a tree. And then I stick it up here and hang it from the baling wire from a branch and just let it sit out and dry until it's cured. And there it is, the finished tree. All the green leaves on it. Let me know what you think in the comments.